Hey folks, I'm just going to be yapping on here for a little bit, doing a little speed sculpting, doing a little bit of burn-in with some new software, testing some stuff out for screen captures and so on. So I need to do a little something and talk for a while I'm doing that. So anyway, here we are inside ZBrush, probably my favorite program to use for pretty much anything 3D modeling related. And what we're doing here is a Dynamesh sphere that every once in a while I'll hold Control, click and drag, and that'll recalculate the Dynamesh. I'm going to turn my resolution up on that just a touch. Let's go from 64 up to, say, 192. So now we get a little more resolution to work with. And really just kind of swinging wild here since this is a test, but if I come up with something cool, then you'll be watching this shortly. So thinking about maybe doing a few quick speed sculpts, some ideas for the Halloween season, and then posting those and letting folks kind of vote on which ones we will turn into maybe some finished creatures to release, because I think that'd be kind of cool. So let's see, kind of digging where this is headed. It's nice to take a break from doing the human figure stuff that we've been so focused on lately. So it's a nice change of pace. I think my dog is just freaking out over something. I'll have to check on that in a minute, but not yet. So let's maybe go kind of cephalopoidal with this. Pull out some big stuff in the back here for the head. And yeah, there we go. Start getting some really weird shapes, because that's what monsters are for. Monsters are like the best things, in my opinion, for doing these kind of abstract, crazy shapes. And you can find something interesting in the shape that you've generated and pull it back. Like, look at it and sort of imagine what anatomy you can come up with out of it, and then draw that back into something realistic. Sort of find what's believable in something abstract, and then coax it, back into believable details, kind of marrying something abstract with what's real. So let's move these eyes back a little bit, these little eye sockets. Give it a little more push right there. Then let's do hit B, go in and grab my curve tubes, and toss a few of those off there. Oh, don't want to go that route with it. Okay. Then we're going to smooth all that stuff back together there. And I'm going to bring my resolution back down a little bit. Let's take it down to like 90. That way the mesh has a little bit less density, so then it's easier to work with. Makes smoothing operations happen a little faster. So that's kind of interesting looking so far. Let's whoop, forgot to change brushes. Let's build some shapes back out here. Yeah. Okay. Then let's try some different techniques here, just for fun. Let's do a little bit of masking there, and actually, instead of using masking, let's use topology brush. I'm just going to draw a little topology on here that is just going to get dynameshed anyway, so it doesn't even matter how clean it is. Okay. I don't know why sometimes I like to work like this. Let's tap that, pull that out, maybe extrude it a bit. I don't know. There we go. There we go. That's more like it. So, whoop, accidentally clicked. There we go. So now if I make my draw size larger, that'll get thicker when we pop that out. Then I'm going to use some of these nice new Z modeler tools because they're just so cool. We're going to Q mesh some polygons out of here. Do a little Q meshing. Just pull some stuff out. Not a big thing. Pull some of these guys out this way. Oop. Now, since this is just a concept sculpt, I'm not worrying about anything involved with it at all. I'm just gonna have some fun with it. Pull some shapes out. See where it leads. So right now, I want to make sure that all this is polygrouped together, and then this has its own. I'm going to turn groups back on in my Dynamesh. So now when I Dynamesh, I'll get a nice organic shape out of this, but it'll keep it as a separate group. Okay. And of course, we've got all kinds of nifty, neat stuff we can do with this. Let's maybe grab some of these polys and it's going to be contrary. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Just pulling some more shapes off there just to have a little fun with it. So there we go. This is something a little more organic looking there. Then I've got something like this that I think could be cool to have just repeat and make some kind of almost a pattern out of, or to use to just drag out places. Let's Dynamesh that again. Sometimes I'll just make an insert brush out of it. So let's do that. So we're going to create an insert mesh. I'm going to do new. And then I'm going to go into my settings. And let's see here. Let's turn on curve mode with that. And you'll see that it just drops a ton of those little guys out there. And then we can go into our stroke and we can change all kinds of things about that. If you change the step, you'll see they come in closer to each other. Oh, I got a puppy crying. Oh, Toki, you poor little guy. Alright. So now let's zoom way on out here. I'm going to turn off dynamic, that way I can get a much larger brush. See there, we get some neat stuff out of that. So you can do this technique to get some really cool like bone formations. Just kind of what I'm going for here. Now if I set this to a line, then it should be able to almost snap it and get it nice and straight. Then let's turn off snapping and bending, and we should be able to move this around. Yeah, there we go. So then we'll turn bending back on, and let's turn on a lock start. And so now we can just we can pull this. We would shape it with that curve. Just kind of nifty. So you can get these really cool organic shapes. It's really great for doing like alien skeletons and weird stuff like that. So I'm going to kill that stroke. Then let's just embed that up in there. We'll get rid of that guy now. We don't really need him. He served his purpose. Okay. I'm going to turn my symmetry back on. Take my move brush. Move the stuff around, and then we're going to relax some of it a little bit. Give it a little bit of variation here and there. So it's been a long time now since I've actually taken a moment to cut loose and do something fun like this, just playing around to see what comes out. So I don't make any promises that anything even remotely coherent or interesting will come out, but I'm having fun with it, and it's a good test for my my video captures. So there's that. So I think I want to add some meat kind of coming down this down this length of bone here. So to do that, let's grab some curved tubes and just draw these babies right on. Set it to bend and snap. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's not quite working out the way I wanted. Yeah, sometimes it can be a little finicky. Well, there's more than one way to do that. So let's grab curve tri-fill. I'll do that. Push it together. Then spread this out a little bit. Then I'm going to polygroup these together so that when I dynamesh this again, those dynamesh together into one group. So then I can just keep masking that bone structure off and work with this stuff. So now that I've added all that volume on there, I've got, it's kind of like having more clay to work with. So then I'm going to come through here and sort of embed this in and around all this bone. So I think that'll look kind of neat. Now, this is actually really therapeutic in a way, because there's no rules, there's no nothing to it. It's just something that could turn into something, might not. It might just be a few minutes of playing around, but sometimes that's the stuff you got to do to kind of let your brain cut loose a little bit and find its way. So I think I want to make this into something that's sort of on the ground, like it's laying flat somewhere. So let's mask that stuff off and rotate it out. Okay. Then we'll do the same with this one. Just rotate that stuff out and maybe pull some of this down. And let's grab this stuff right here. And we'll bring that up to the front. Okay. I'm going to thicken all this a bit. Okay. So now it's more of a slug-like sort of. It's kind of neat. It's got some interesting forms shaping up here that I kind of dig. So let's kind of keep on that. Go grab this guy again and just pull some more tentacly sort of shapes out. And let's pull these down. Okay. And maybe do a couple more. Yeah, there we go. Now then, let's combine all these together. And yeah, it's kind of neat. I'm going to undo back before combining those so that I can taper these out a bit. Okay. Definitely got that bizarre alien Lovecraftian, almost Giger sort of vibe going that I dig. So that's kind of a good thing. Come in here and kind of flesh some of this stuff out a little bit. Just giving a little bit more shape down on the bottom area. I think it might be kind of cool to have some of that bone structure embedded in parts of this guy. So let's come back in here and put a couple strokes on the surface there. And then I'll make my brush a little larger after the fact. And just kind of pull it around. Well, that could get kind of interesting, especially if I pull that over. And of course, we can just continue it, make it meet up. Kind of crown-like right there. Let's embed that. I want to give it some space so that I think it's going to have eyes somewhere in here. So I don't want to muck that up too much. Let's dynamesh this stuff together now. And whoop, let's make sure we got it grouped. There we go. So now that that stuff is dynameshed into this main form, I can go in and smooth some of that. You'll see it sort of falls back in a real fleshy sort of way. So where we can see the bones in the bottom, with this stuff now on the top, you've got this feeling more of the bone structure being under the skin and pushing up, which I think is kind of a nice contrast to what we have on the underside. So just a little bit more smoothing right here, and then there we go. When I'm doing something like that, if I see an opportunity to use the whole Dynamesh process in a way that'll give me something that I could possibly Z-remesh later and get an automated mesh out of, I'll try to make sure that I don't have any closed loops in the forms, just because I know down the road that will make certain things much easier. So let's raise my resolution back up to about 128. Dynamesh it again. And I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, stop this one, and I'll probably pick this up in a part 2 a little bit later tonight. So for now, this is what we got. It's kind of a neat shape, and I'll come back and play with it some more later, and we'll see where we end up. Thanks.